Hi, I'm Richard Norris, and I really want to share with you 5 quick tips for you leaders who are watching this who are perhaps time challenged, and perhaps you can relate to this. Here I am sitting in a hotel room somewhere on the planet just before I go to sleep, but perhaps for you, like I used to be, you have trouble staying asleep because stuff's on your mind. You have trouble getting to sleep because stuff's on your mind. Why? Because you're a type A personality, or you're working 60, 80 hours a week and you still can't get it all done. You've got a to-do list as long as your arm. You're maxed out, you're stressed, and what you really need right now is some very simple, effective tips and tools that you can use that'll save you time. They'll enable you to invest that time more wisely into the stuff that matters most, both at work, at rest, and how would you like to be more productive? And where this one comes from my background, and I'm going to share my background as I go along. I was a veterinarian. And so when I was at university training to be a vet, I was also on the swim team. I was a competitive swimmer for 23 years. So I was captain of the swim team. I had 40 hours of lectures a week. I had all the homework and home fun that went along with that. Plus, I had a part-time job. Time was of a premium. And as a result, what I had to learn to do is how to use my time more productively. And what's distilled from those years ago, or what's distilled from that experience years ago, is what I describe as your Success 7, or what I use as my Success 7. Instead of that long to-do list, which is just work, it's mundane, it's boring, or it's a challenge because it's consuming you and taking away from the stuff that's really important and really matters, is replace it with the top seven things I need to achieve that day. And so I moved it from a to-do list to an achieve list, and more specifically, I've called it my Success 7. Because if you're like me, you like to achieve stuff because you get a buzz and you get a fix and you want to achieve the next thing. Brilliant. So this Success 7, quite simply, you just identify the top 7 things that matter most in your things to do or to achieve more specifically next day. You create that list in priority order. Number 1 first, all the way down to 7, and you start work on number 1. You don't move on to number 2 until you've done what you believe you need to get done for number 1. And the advantage there is you might only move some of them a little bit forward, but at the end of the day, you've done all 7 things, you've ticked them off, you've had that achievement buzz, you've had a great and productive day. And so to use a quote from a friend of mine, Roland Roberts, don't let your chore get in the way of your core. Okay? Let's move on to tip number 2. How would you like to really only work on the stuff that you're really passionate about, that plays to your strengths? That's your next P, passion. And I'm sure if you're like me, that's really important. And this reminds me of a client that I had, one of the first clients I had who was coaching. And he ran this big organization. And as I do when I go into most clients, is one of the first things I do is we audit their time. And this is really the tip. It's about auditing your time. And for 1 week or 2 weeks, you just mark down all the tasks that you do and how much time you allot to them. And then we total it all up. And with this client, we identified just on one task alone. He was opening the mail. He ran this company. He was opening the mail 2 hours a day. Did he have to do that? No. And a question that I'm asking you, as I asked him, is what's your time worth per hour? Have you figured that out? We worked it out. It was worth about $500 an hour. And I said, how much would you pay somebody to open that mail? He said, well, maybe $20. And he had this great big aha moment, this great big blinding flash to the obvious. What am I doing this for? And all of a sudden, he had saved 10 hours in his week by doing that. And we also cross-referenced that again against all those tasks as to what was high skill, high fun. The stuff that really tested his skill was what he was really getting paid for. The stuff that was low skill, low fun, we identified, we hived that off. We gave it to those people who they got more of a buzz out of it than he did. It wasn't playing to his strengths, and it was more playing to their strengths. So outsource it, leverage it, delegate it to somebody else. Get it off your plate. Okay? And really what this means is separating your mundane from your high octane. So don't let your mundane get in the way of your high octane activities. Okay? Let's move on to number 3. And this is really about, how would you like it if you had more peace in your life? You had time to just rest. You had time to go to sleep and relax. What would the value of that be? Great question. And really where this one comes in, it reminds me of when I went away on holiday a couple of years ago with my family. And this really came down to I switched off the email. I didn't take my phone. For 2 weeks on holiday, I was completely present with my family. I had peace. I had no noise coming in. What would that be of value to you? So really, the challenge here is just learning to say no to certain things. And that's a challenge which I put to my clients and I put to you. Take the 1-a-day challenge. Say no to one thing, at least one thing a day, and free you up. As most leaders have a challenge of saying no to stuff, it's one of the core skills of a great leader is the ability to say no to stuff. And really, this comes down to don't let everything get in the way of the main things. Tip number 4 that we're going to focus on is how would you like more prowess at making effective decisions? And really where this comes down to, it reminds me of my vet days, and this is where I really learned to be more effective at making decisions, because before I used to procrastinate, vacillate. I was a closet perfectionist, and I'm guessing that perhaps some of you out there are too. And perhaps you can relate. You had to get all the information, and it was driving you nuts that you didn't have it all, so your decisions got delayed. You missed opportunities. I missed loads of opportunities in my past until I learned, don't let perfect get in the way of excellence. Perfection is an illusion. Learn when it comes down to making decisions, learn to trust your gut. And that's the tip. Learn to trust your gut. When I was a veterinarian, we'd have emergencies come in. We didn't necessarily have all the time in the world to get all the information. We'd make a quick assessment, just like you saw in the TV show MASH, in triage. You make a quick assessment and you'd act. And the more you did it, the more effective you got. See, it's like a muscle, you got to exercise your intuition muscle. So start working on it, because it will save you, guaranteed it'll save you time, save your team time, save your organization money when you actually focus on that. Because there's a great book out there called Trust Your Gut by a lady by the name of Lynn A. Robinson. And talks all about that. C-level executives. Your organization might have a decision-making process, but the top executives, the most effective ones, learn to trust their gut. So there's your tip for you. And remember, don't let perfect get in the way of excellent. Okay, and the last tip, number 5, is really about how would you like to preserve the value of your time specifically in those key relationships. Whether it's work, but the example I'm going to use right now is at home. Picture this. You're heading back home. You got a briefcase full of stuff. Your family's waiting for you. You know they're waiting for you. Your partner's waiting for you. You blow past them as soon as you come through the door because, honey, kids, sorry, and you ignore them because you say, I got to make a phone call, I got to do this, do that. You come out of your home office or wherever it was, you were sequestered away after 2 hours to a very cold environment. I'm sure you know what I mean. That used to be me. The tip here is what I call apply the 7-minute rule. Just before you head into the house, think about what can the best dad, in my instance, what can the best dad be and do when he walks through that door? And when I do, I give my family the first 7 minutes I walk through that door. I drop everything. I drop my bag right at the door. I drop down to the kids' level and let them just bombard me with the hugs, the kisses, the energy, the excitement, their trials and tribulations of the day. And then I ask my wife, how was your day? And she'll give me what's been going on in her day. And so when I do have to ask, say, sorry, honey, would it be okay if I just go in the office and make a quick phone call or something? I am not taking a withdrawal on that emotional bank account that's in overdraft. I am actually, because I've been depositing, I can actually take some time out. It will secure and save a lot of tension and improve your relationships at home. Because what's really important there is, and the way I'll sum this up in a quote, is don't let your biz keep you from your kids. Okay? So those are the 5 tips I wanted to share with you. Go away, put those into the system you really want. Improve your productivity, improve your focusing and working on your stuff you're passionate about, get some more peace, improve your prowess at decision making, and preserve those key relationships. Thanks very much. I now feel better because I've got that off my chest. I can sit back, relax, and I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep, and I hope you are too.